Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, January 30th, 2025. You've all heard the sad news about the airplane helicopter collision close to Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C., and that's the subject of today's news and views. But first, please don't forget we do have a vid chat tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time. That means get your comments and questions in no later than 10 o'clock U.S. Central Time tonight so that I'll be able to print them all out and get them ready for tomorrow's vid chat. So also please remember one submission per member, and please remember not to comment on anyone else's submission until after the vid chat. This just makes it easier for me and easier for the folks out there that are following the vid chat comments and questions during the recording. So that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. There was a little chance of weather tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'll be in there a little early as usual for the pre-chat banter and to make sure everything is up and running okay. Now, as you've all heard by now, there was a tragic crash, a mid-air collision of a Black Hawk U.S. military helicopter that was allegedly on a training mission and a commercial airliner that was flying from Wichita, Kansas to Washington National Airport. We've just heard reports, just as I was out walking Shiloh this morning for her morning P-mail, as I like to call it. We heard a story that there was a team of Russian figure ice skaters that were aboard that aircraft. Young people, young athletes that just attended a competition in Wichita and were returning to Russia via Washington National Airport. So there is that factor to consider, and we'll get back to that. Now, I am inclined, there is no article accompanying today's news and views. I'm just giving you my reactions from what I saw and heard on the news yesterday and today. I took the time to watch some videos that were recorded of the actual accident, and I watched a little bit of the local coverage from the local television affiliates there in Washington, D.C., and then, of course, today, the first thing I did when I woke up and took Shiloh outside was to turn on my radio to see what the story's updates were. So there's no accompanying article today. I'm giving you my reactions based on what I heard on the television and radio and what I saw in the video. So take everything I say with a heavy, huge grain of salt. First of all, if you're familiar with Reagan National Airport, it is in one of the busiest airspaces over the country, and incidentally, it is almost next door to the Pentagon, where, of course, you do have a lot of in and out helicopter traffic all the time. The other thing, of course, is it's just across the Potomac River from basically downtown or all the historic tourist sites of Washington, D.C. So it is a heavily, heavily monitored airspace. This is the first thing that occurred to me when I was watching the video. The situation right now appears to indicate that it was some sort of either pilot error, air traffic controller error, and there is a possible equipment malfunction. We'll get into all of this in just a minute. If there is pilot error, I rather hesitate to write this off to the pilot of the airplane itself, because it was on final approach. That means it would have been in regular and consistent communication with the ground. It would be going through the landing checklists and so on and so forth that pilots go through. And again, I need to stress, I'm not a pilot. I'm simply relaying information that I'm familiar with. If pilots are out there that have more specific information, you're certainly welcome to add it to the comments in this news and views. It sounds more like it may have been a pilot error on the part of the helicopter, because the helicopter was supposedly on a training mission, and this would mean that there was a trainee pilot and a training pilot on the helicopter. And if there is any prima facie blame to be assigned, it would probably be to the helicopter, and there's a significant reason I'm suggesting this. We know from the air traffic control to helicopter communications that air traffic control did warn the helicopter that there was an aircraft on final approach and that the helicopter should avoid it, and an inquiry was made as to whether or not the helicopter had the aircraft in sight, and the helicopter responded that they did, and then bang, the crash occurred. The problem that I'm having with this is that, as I said, this is a busy airspace. And we don't really know if indeed the aircraft that the helicopter said that it had in sight was indeed the aircraft that air traffic control was telling them to watch out for. So in other words, if you're looking at a bunch of lights in the sky over some very busy airspace, you could probably say, well, yeah, we've got them in sight, we can see it, there's the light. And so you're communicating what you think is clear and consistent information to air traffic control, and he's doing the same to you, but you don't realize you're talking about two different things. So this is the first thing that occurred to me when I was listening last night to the news coverage, that air traffic control did not seem to me to be specific enough in its inquiries that it was making to the pilots of the helicopter. That occurred very early on. And one of the things I want to mention in this respect is I do occasionally listen on YouTube to air traffic control to pilot communications. And there is a phenomenon, if you're one of these airlines junkies, like I am on occasion, you have probably been familiar with the phenomenon that since the COVID quackscene business, the planned scamdemic, conversations with air traffic control became downright bizarre in some cases. I remember a YouTube video of a Canadian pilot trying to declare an emergency as he was landing at LaGuardia in New York. Idlewild is JFK. At LaGuardia in New York, and the air traffic controller simply couldn't get it through his head that this was emergency, and the pilot was trying to land his aircraft because he was having malfunctions with his engines. The air traffic controller wanted to divert him miles away to Newark International rather than declare an emergency procedure at LaGuardia. So it was just nuts. So if you've been listening to air traffic control, you'll be familiar that there was a period where things were just getting downright crazy. So I'm not surprised. I'm leaning, therefore, to accident due to mishandled communications and lack of clarity in communications. Incidentally, I just heard from a friend that informed me that the call sign of the helicopter were the letters PAT followed by a number, and PAT stands for Priority Air Transport. This is usually a designation given to military craft. So again, we have to wonder just exactly what is going on with a training mission for a helicopter inside the ground control airspace of a busy international airport like Reagan National. The other thing that occurred to me as I was taking Shiloh out to check her morning P-mail was that, and again, this also occurred to my friend. I thought of it as I was taking Shiloh outside, and my friend, lo and behold, when I came back in, I had an email from my friend that thought of the exact same thing, and this was the so-called TCAS, stands for Traffic Collision Out in Mid-Air. And I have to wonder if this system had been activated inside the commercial aircraft and therefore would have been able to warn the pilot and co-pilot of that aircraft to take evasive action. In other words, to do a go-around, that they had to abort the landing and do a go-around. We don't know. The problem is we don't know if that system was on or if there was some sort of equipment failure. And I'm assuming that I don't know anything about helicopters, but I'm assuming that the same sort of system exists inside of a helicopter, particularly military helicopters that have to fly in such close formation. So I don't know. Now, there are a number of things, a few problems, that suggest to me that while I tend toward an accident view of this, there are a number of factors that still have big question marks over them. We were initially told that the helicopter was flying in that airspace without warning lights on. In other words, the helicopter was completely black and very difficult for anyone to see, much less the pilot of a commercial airliner. We've also been informed, apparently, that the helicopter was below the incoming commercial airliner in altitude, and quite frankly, absolutely underneath that aircraft, and that the helicopter was ascending at the same time that the aircraft was landing, and they collided. That's what we've been told. The problem I have with that narrative is that when you view the videos of the crash that were released mere minutes after its occurrence and were being displayed prominently on YouTube, I watched this video, and it's a sad thing to watch an incident like that when you know that you're watching the deaths of lots of innocent people. But when you watch this video, if you have the stomach for it, when you watch this video, what appeared to me was that the helicopter was hardly below the incoming aircraft. The light on the helicopter was on, if indeed that was the helicopter, and the light made a beeline, a direct, straight vector toward the aircraft, struck it, collided with it. There was a big explosion, and of course, the fiery trails of debris from that explosion falling to the earth and into the Potomac River. That's what I saw. So in other words, the light was on. The helicopter did not take any evasive action, but rather appeared to me, on the videos that I saw, to head directly into the aircraft. And that would seem to indicate either a terrorist incident by somebody on board the helicopter, or perhaps the helicopter's controls were taken over remotely. I don't know, but that's what I saw. I'm just telling you what I saw. I may be completely mistaken. Eyes can deceive you, but that's what I saw. The other factor, strong factor, I think that at least you have to put a question mark over is very early in the coverage last night, I'd say about an hour to an hour and a half after the incident occurred, the local news in Washington was reporting that the conditions, the weather conditions at that time, there were no ceiling. In other words, it was a crystal clear night, and that visibility was 10 miles. In other words, it was a very clear night with good visibility and very low winds. So the weather would seem to mitigate against the idea that these craft could not see each other, although again, you have to remember, a Black Hawk is a military copter, and it is painted dark deliberately so that it is difficult to see. And if it was running without lights on a training run in a crowded airspace, then at least some of the responsibility. As of this moment, folks, I'm leaning very strongly to some sort of accident due to fouled up communications. To me, it did not seem like air traffic control was being clear enough, but again, it's busy airspace, so you have your procedures and your protocols, and as far as I can tell, air traffic control was trying to abide by them. But still, we have the aircraft in sight doesn't necessarily mean that they have the right aircraft in sight. So a lot of question marks thus far, and I'm not, as of this juncture, ruling out the possibility, although at this juncture a slim one, of foul play. So that's it for today's news and views. If there are any pilots, helicopter pilots, commercial airline pilots, or other pilots otherwise out there that can add commentary and perspective that I don't have, because everybody knows me, I don't fly to begin with, and therefore I know absolutely next to nothing about proper procedure inside a cockpit or air traffic control or what have you. I'm just telling you what I see on the ground, looking at this with the eyes of a rank amateur and trying to follow the reports. But my impression from the video remains what it was when I first saw it. You see a light, the light flies into another set of lights, there's a big explosion, and you see the fiery entrails of the debris falling into the Potomac. So that's it for today's news and views, folks. Don't forget to get your questions and comments in by 10 o'clock U.S. Central Time tonight for tomorrow's vid chat. I'll be there a little early. The vid chat is scheduled at 2. We'll probably start early as we always do, and I'll be there even earlier for the pre-chat to make sure all the technology is up and running okay. If by any chance I don't show up, then you can write it down to some sort of internet outage or something like that if I don't show up within 30 minutes or so of the scheduled beginning. So that's it for today's news and views. Bye-bye, everybody. God bless, and we'll see you on the flip side.